The pastor of this church since 1974. I'm not real good at math, but I am 58 years old. And I think in terms of, as I look around some of the decisions people my age made, and I see you all at the perfect place in our church history and in your life to do some things very, very different from what we did. And to really financially and vocationally be in a place that's much further down the road than we are. And so this teaching, I'm going to live as long as I can. I probably won't get to see how it plays out, but you will be you'll have a wonderful foundation to minister from if you'll do some of the things that Rodney's going to share with you. So, make all you can, save all you can, give all you can. I'm just going to go to the end of it. And I'm going to talk about give all you can. And I want to start with a verse. It comes from Ezekiel 16:49. And this was a period of time when, of course, Israel was in apostasy. And here's the rebuke that comes. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. In other words, you come from a family of sodomites. Pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. Isn't it interesting? When a culture gets excessively wealthy, they do not strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. They get consumed, or they become consumers. They want to go the next step. And I think that is very much a temptation and a reigning zeitgeist in your generation. Some things to think about. People used to work 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, and half a day on Saturday. What would that be? What's 5 times 12? 60? That would be about 64, 65 hours a week. Everybody worked that long. What a dollar could buy, what an hour's work could buy back then, doesn't begin to compare to what an hour's work could buy today. So you're working probably 2/3 as much as people used to work. All right, keep that in mind. The second thing, you're living a whole lot longer. When I was born, we were supposed to die at 64, 65. Now it's changed. I'm supposed to die at about 74, 75. And I would guess by the time you're my age, that'll be pushed on up to 80. So you can plan on living to 80. So you make more money, you work less time, and you're going to live longer. Honestly, if you would steward your life as you should be able to do about 3 times as much as somebody did back in the 17th century. Your labor produces more because of technology. You have more free time, and you will live longer. So what's happened? What has happened to all that extra time and all that extra income? Where has it gone? Well, it consistently happens. Pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy. So as a whole, I would encourage you all to get a vision for what God would have his people be in this time. You know the parable of the talents. You know, and I think a lot of times we think in terms of, well, that person's more capable than I am. But historically, you all have been given the 10 talents. And you're going to be accountable for what you do with your time and your money. And you need to shake yourself, yank yourself out of the culture, and look at the Bible and say, how should I live my life? What is life? It is not abundance of idleness fullness of bread. And I think those are two of the keys that you need to look at if you're going to really create a different culture that produces 3 times what people with less time and less productivity and a shorter life did. Does that make sense? I would like for you all to start thinking in those terms and figure that out. Wow, I have an extra 10 or 15 years. My hour of work produces so much more. I'm so much more wealthy, and I have a lot more time. And so you need to think, what am I going to do with all this? How can I make this work? So I'm going to start at the back and talk about giving all you can. And this might be another earth-shattering idea, but you should, from a very early age, teach your children to give, so that by the time they are in youth group, that they are the ones who are taking care of the kids that don't have money. That's a good place to start, so that your children learn how to see the needs in the body and take care of them. Okay? The Bible talks about work, and we could read a lot of verses, but I'm going to read a couple to you. Here's Paul in Acts chapter 20, verse 31. Therefore, be alert, remembering that for 3 years I did not cease night or day to admonish everyone with tears, and now I commend you to God and to the word of his grace, which is able to build you up and give you the inheritance among all those who are sanctified. I coveted no one's silver or gold or apparel. You yourselves know that these hands ministered to my necessities and to those who were with me. In all things I have shown you that by working hard in this way, we must help the weak and remember the words of the Lord Jesus, how he himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Isn't that amazing? That burned inside of him. I'm going to labor with these hands so that I will have to give to those who are in need. I think one of the problems with this generation is that we see a level of ease, a level of wealth, a level of lifestyle that we want, and we keep thinking, I'm going to achieve this level of lifestyle, and that becomes our goal. That should never be your goal. Your goal and what you should start dipping into. And see, people who want to live that kind of lifestyle, they'll buy a few things that represent that lifestyle so they can get started on that lifestyle early. So if your lifestyle is one of giving, what would you do then? If your goal was, I want to be the person who gives, rather than trying to dip into the finer things of life materially, you would dip into the true things that are finer. And when you saved up a little extra money and you could do that little splurge, you would find a place to care for the needy. So I would really encourage you to turn your mentality around and not allow this world and its values to affect you and to live to those. But live biblical values. Paul said, I work with these hands to meet my own needs and the needs of those who are with me. And you should work, because it is more blessed to give than to receive. Everybody knows that verse over in Ephesians 4:28. It says, those of you who stole, let him steal no more, but rather let him labor with his hands, so he will have to give to those who are in need. So let me ask you this question. As you think about money, have you really got a thought in your heart and in your spirit, I want to produce so that I can give? And do you understand the parallel I make between buying those few really nice things and beginning to dip into, why do people buy things that are really nice? They really want to have a nice everything. And they go ahead and splurge on themselves so they can have a few nice things and then keep moving to that day when they have all that they need. Those kind of people never get all that they need, and they never become real givers, because they always have something else. because that's their goal. But if your goal is to give, do you see the parallel? You would want to dip into it early. So you'd begin to do, you'd save a little bit up, and when a need came, like Antonio, who is deathly ill down in Mexico, you would say, wow, I get this opportunity to do this. But if your goal is that materialism, you're never quite there so that you can give. Does that make sense? So stop and ask yourself, have you begun from the very beginning to want to work so that you can have to give? Really? Is that deep down inside of you? Okay? And I think those verses in Acts 20 and Acts 4 are pretty, they're pretty self-explanatory. So anyway, Wesley said, make all you can, save all you can, and give all you can. Okay? So Rodney's going to talk about skipping a Coke a week. Are you going to skip you want to skip a coffee or skip a Coke? Either one. All right. Whatever you drink, you can skip it for a week and have $30,000 in just a short 30 years. Let's see. So give all you can. Let me say this about giving. Another thing that I just want to throw at you all. You're the perfect group to throw this at. If 10 of you gave like you should, you could support one pastor. That means 15 of you all could totally support a church. And the model that we work on is one of planting churches. So financially, we don't go beg up money. We work on the budget or the money that comes in. So start thinking in terms, first of all, I really want to give to the work that I'm a part of, and I want to do my part. And just think in terms of what you think a young pastor should make if you go into a plant, and give about 1/10 of that. That's the way finances worked out in the Old Testament. They gave a tenth, but we don't really teach tithing as a law around here. But it's just a way to think. So begin to think as far as giving, not only to needs, but think in terms of, you all are going to have a church. I'm not going to be around. You're going to have a church, and there's going to be a foundational budget that they work off of. And one of the things that's necessary to plant a church is you want to take care of the pastor and rent a place. So 5 people could rent the place, and 10 people could support the pastor, and there you go. You don't have to worry about raising funds and begging for money. So we never try to raise money. The team, we work on what comes in. And you should want to be a part of that financially. So you would want to do that. You'd want to do needs that are presented, like Antonio. A lot of times there's a mortgage in the church that needs to be met. And then the third thing you would want to think about would be just the guy on the street kind of stuff. And we don't have time to talk about that, but you need to really use wisdom in that, but you need to be prepared to do that. You need to be able to not do it, and you need to be able to be prepared to do it. So start thinking in terms, I need to be a giver. I need to be the backbone of the church and support. I need to jump in on special projects, and I need to be ready to kick in when my neighbor's house burns down, or whatever is a legitimate need that you need to give to. So save all you can. Don't buy what you don't need. I'm giving the diligent students who are writing it down the opportunity to write it down. Are you knitting this into your knitting back there like that lady in Tele2 Cities? You worry me. You know Tele2 Cities? I hope my name's not in your knitting. Don't buy what you do not need. How many of you do that? Buy what you don't need, or don't buy what you don't need? That's a double negative. How many of you find yourselves buying stuff that you don't really need? All right. I think if you will really pay attention tonight, and you'll begin to try to create a lifestyle where, a more Amish lifestyle, I think you all will be a much happier group of people, and you'll suffer a lot less stress around finances. Okay? And the other thing is, shop for what you need, be patient. Shop for what you need, be patient. A lot of people, they get it going, they see what they need, and they want it right now. Oftentimes, you can save 30 or 40% if you will just make your list and wait for it to come to you. I'm not going to say any more about it. Rodney will talk about, the whole idea of not spending that $2 a week. You going to talk about that? All right. Make all you can. I'll just say one thing because we're going to get Rodney on up here. Rodney will share some verses about working hard and those kinds of things. But the bottom line is, you need to think about making money. Money is just a little certificate that represents an hour of your life. How can you transfer your life? How can you get double blessing out of your life? First, the work you do can be a glory to God, just the work itself. But then you have it represented double in that money, and then you can take that money and do something that glorifies God as well. I love the double blessing you can be with that dollar bill that you get. But like I said, they used to work 60 or 70 hours a week. And one of the things over the years we've done is that when our men don't have enough income to support their family, we have them get a second job, which might be 20 hours. It gets them up to 60 hours a week. That is not a bad thing to do. Another thing, if we have men that do not have a job, we encourage everybody not to help them, not to give them any kind of sustenance at all. If they're the kind of guy who's sitting around just waiting for that perfect job, if they're the kind of guy who, in between semesters, I thought I would just, they are obviously not working hard to meet the needs of the needy. So you would be better off to give your money to needy people than to help those people. And all of that to say this, if you have free time when you're a single woman or a single man, don't take a vacation. If you take a vacation, you rip off the work by however many months you take off. Everybody else is working, and you're sitting around dreaming about what you might be when you grow up. And so work is good. Now, that's not to say there's never a time when you might take a month off. But as a whole, you all need to steward the lives of the people in your flock. And when you get these dreamers who always have this idea of something they're going to be or something they're going to do, but they're not making money, then they're really not contributing to the work that y'all are doing. And it's not like punishment, it's just reality. So, number one, work hard to make all the money you can. And don't be afraid of working a second job, guys, if you've got a family that needs to be taken care of. Does that make sense? And we have had guys even that weren't married that wanted to give more to a certain situation, and they would take a second job for 6 months to help pay for, a particular need that was in the body, like somebody's mortgage. So it's just a different way of thinking. Money is not evil. Wanting to have lots of money so you can do what you want is evil. But the Bible gives clear instructions to those people with lots of money. You should use it to be a blessing and not just build your own deal. So I got to go to lunch. All right, Rodney, thank you so much for taking the time, and he's going to answer all your questions. Feel free to ask him anything you